Really?
You want? Yeah, you want to clap us in?
Ooh.
Nice. Well played. Well played. Trying to up my clap game. That sounded terrible, huh?
Yeah. I got the clip and I'm giving it to you.
Hey, welcome to the Fireside Tattoo Podcast. My name is Jake. This is Michael McGough. How do I pronounce your last name?
McGough.
McGough.
Yeah, like cough.
Oh, okay.
G-O-U-G-H.
In my mind,
So-
I've been saying McGough.
Oh, yeah. No, McGough.
McGough.
Yep.
Okay. M-C, spell it again.
M-C-G-O-U-G-H.
G-H.
Yep.
McGough. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense now that you say it that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
So,
Once you connect the cough part.
yeah. So Michael and I met kind of like our earlier guest
Impact.
at Impact. Yeah. Who's our earlier guest? Huh?
Tommy.
Altman. Yeah. So kind of like Tommy, we met at Impact and then met up again here. And
Yeah.
so I'll start it the same way that I started with Tommy. So we met at an educational event. Like Tommy, you came in early to this event to do the educational before
Absolutely,
the
yes.
actual convention. As soon as I met you, probably within a day of me meeting you, you asked for a critique, not just from me, from Nick, from most anyone. You're quick to like put your book out there
Yeah.
and say.
Yeah.
So talk about why.
I am self-studied, not self-taught, but I'm self-studied. So I've spent my entire life being in the isolation in North Dakota for the most part,
Yeah.
and various reasons. I've needed to have my own drive to learn how to get better at things. In the process, thank God for the internet, I've been able to access a lot of that stuff. But quite some time ago, I had started understanding, like I took a short seminar thing or webinar for Watts Atelier and found out about understanding about critiques and what to get out of a critique. And then I kind of decided that everybody can offer me something in my book. And if somebody with 1 year experience or 20-year experience agrees on this, both tell me could improve on this, I definitely need to improve on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think everybody has something to offer, and if you got the time and they have the time, why not?
Yeah. So what did you do at Watts? You did their online courses, or
Yeah,
you did a
Watts
workshop?
Atelier has a online
Yeah.
phases that you can go through. So you sign up there, and it costs a bit of money, and you really kind of have to be diligent about getting it done. I went through, I think it was just drawing phase 1 and phase 2, and that's just basically understanding how to do charcoal drawings and like value studies
It's
and
figure
things like
work.
that.
Is it like head studies?
It's leading
and stuff?
up to eventually being accomplished and awesome oil painter, starting out with the classic atelier training, step by step. Once you master or learn this, then you can move on to this, and you really, when you start there, you only get access to this until you learn how to do that. Then you
Right.
can move on to the next step.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
How
but
long did you do that?
I went through just the first couple phases, so I got through most of that within a month or so. The tough part was just getting the feedback. I don't know how it's now. This was like 3-4 years ago that I did it, and or maybe more longer than that. But just waiting for them to email back. I mean, they're busy. It's their instructors that are actually critiquing your drawings, telling you what you did wrong or right. So it was nice, but I couldn't afford the extra coin it cost to have live critique sessions. So that's when I decided to just start hitting people up whenever I saw them,
Yeah.
As soon as I recognized a face, or if I saw a book that I liked, I went after them.
Yeah. Do you find that you're getting? I know in my case, and a lot of I don't put myself out there for critiques quite probably as much as you do. I do on the painting side. I don't as much on the tattoo side. And for me on the painting side, I feel like I hear little nuggets, little tidbits. I hear a lot of noise, and I hear real scattered nuggets, and I go like, oh shit. And sometimes they don't even mean it the way that I take it, and I plug things in that way. Is that how you take critiques? Are you just kind of like looking for like, I've heard that before, I know why I do this. Oh, I hadn't thought of
that. I kind of lay it out on a spreadsheet in my mind where, like I said, if a bunch of people are telling me this thing, then it's something I really need to figure out what they're really trying to tell me, or what I'm really doing wrong that they're not seeing. Kind of like when somebody without experience in art tells you that doesn't look right. They don't know why.
Yeah.
So I find that is usually one of the things I'm looking for. But then I also kind of go after them with the mentality that wherever they're coming from is based on their interests, and it's not necessarily going to line up with my interests in aesthetics.
Yeah.
If I like comic books and go up to a realist painter and ask them to critique my comic book artwork,
Yeah.
they're going to be like, well, you got a lot of lines, sir.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
taking some of it with nuggets. A lot of people, for me in the tattoo arena, I really haven't had much critique for traditional art. I don't really carry that portfolio around. It's not my driving force right now, or my passion, I guess, my direction I'm headed. So I still enjoy doing that stuff, and I use it to practice for tattooing. But when it comes to going for these critiques and such for various people, I'm really trying to find out what it is I can improve on fast without trying to rewrite how I learned how to tattoo, rewrite how I learned how to draw, and all the things like that. So it seems to be a battle sometimes with me, but I don't know. I think it's pretty straightforward when if people are giving you a critique and it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, they're just using the same jargon before. I think you could pretty well figure out that they're just faking it till they make it too right away.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Have you ever heard? Nick does a nice presentation on how to critique, so that you're not critiquing based on opinion or aesthetic.
Teresa Sharp put it together or something like that. I think it was a YouTube video that he has online.
Yeah, he has. He actually has it laid out in a PDF and everything. And what we do is a little bit differently, like in foundations and all that stuff. But I still think that if you're when you're trying to critique, I think that there are a lot of, like you're saying, aesthetically you can go in any direction, but there are some things that just should make sense. I mean, I should know what you wanted me to look at within the drawing. That's the first thing I think of when I look at a tattoo or a painting or anything. Like, did they try to point me in a direction, or are my eyes darting around trying to figure out what I'm looking at?
Right.
Is there any? And I don't have to know what the subject matter is, but I do want to see some dynamic, some combination of shapes and values and edges that make me look in a specific spot of the tattoo to start. And if I don't see that, then I go like, well, then what? Then something is off. It's either too many similar shapes, or it's too many similar values, or there's not a clear light source, or all the edges are the same, or something like that. And then I feel like I'm critiquing based on some principles that make sense. No matter what the style, whether it's comics, whether it's realism, whether it's American traditional, whether it's Japanese, whatever it is, like just on the most basic art level of good art, I want someone to tell me where to look. I want them to treat me like I'm dumb, and here's where to start. And so I feel like if you're critiquing based on that stuff first, then you can like work your way out to like, I'm not real crazy about that color combination, or I'm not crazy. I know whenever you and I were when I first looked at your portfolio, you had a lot of like dynamic, like fish-eyed looking characters, like a dinosaur and like whatever. And then it was like going on, and there was no, it was all just sitting right on skin. It was kind of like
there was no
stickers.
backgrounds.
And I was like, man, I'd like to see something just blending out. And you're like, well, my client, like they didn't want a background. Sometimes they just don't want that.
Yep.
And so that's when you're getting into like, all right, we've solved all the principles. Like here's what you could have done to make this stronger, or that stronger, or like I feel like this is the focal point. And you could have made it a more dominant focal point by doing A, B, and C. Now, once we're past that, why didn't you do any background?
Yeah, exactly. And that was down at Impact. That was my biggest heel, was organize my portfolio in a more exciting manner.
Yeah.
So that when you look at it, you're excited to see the first one, or at least is what you're trying to show first.
Yeah.
Put it in the order of preference. Don't save the best for last in a portfolio.
Yeah.
For critique, anyway.
Yeah.
And then the backgrounds. Just get the backgrounds in there. I'm like, so I started really encouraging and pushing for backgrounds and more work. And I've always enjoyed the look of the backgrounds, but again, there's some times where people are like, I don't want. I just want that.
Yeah.
What if I want to do something later? I'm like, well, that's my job to figure out how to make it work,
right?
Isn't it?
Do you find like in You're in North
Dakota.
North Dakota.
Yep.
So you find that your clientele is pretty open to your interpretation, or are they pretty demanding?
My clientele, yeah.
Yeah.
Once I kind of branch a little further out in the area, into guest spots, in other around in the state anyway. When they don't know me as well, or they're not repeat customers, then it goes back to no, I want it my way. No, I want it my way. But now, I mean, after enough years, I got 15 years now, and I've developed a relationship with enough clients that even they're like, just let him do it. Just let him do it.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot, but that just comes with time.
Yeah.
Just understanding how to talk to your clients.
That has everything to do with it,
Everything.
What is the town like? Is it a big? How many tattoo shops are in the town?
Small town. No other tattoo shops.
None.
Yeah, I am.
You're the tattooer.
Isolated.
You're the town tattooer.
The town tattooer.
Wow.
60 miles
that's
to
a
the
first.
next.
That is a Fireside
the next
first.
shop.
60 miles.
60 miles. Yep. North Dakota's huge. I mean, comparatively, like it's very low population. Very spread out. I think half of our population lives in Fargo, which is 60 miles away from me.
Oh wow!
So there's not much going on around there.
True monopoly.
So yeah, and I used Guy Aitchison's
reinventing the tattoo.
Well, no, his idea or explanation of why he is where he is with his shop.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to get there. It is a destination.
Yeah.
And I kind of did that somewhat on purpose as well.
Yeah.
Just to kind of create a private studio, appointment only. There's no walk-ins. I can't dedicate my work to that person if I got to deal with the phone and the person coming in and everything else.
Yeah.
So.
And
there's not enough, because it's so small population, there's not enough to have 9 tattooers and 3 counter staff and things like that. So, which is also the reason I like to travel so much.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So
I'm sure.
I love guest spots.
Well, that's yeah. I knew that about you.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's a really important point, because so many people that are in that exact situation in a small town. I mean, even if they're not the only tattooer in town, if there are 3 shops in town, it's really easy to get very stagnant,
complacent,
and just say, well, this is what I do, and it's the option that everyone has, so it's what they're going to get.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for a while, I didn't become complacent just out of laziness, but I just suddenly I started to realize that it was getting that way, and then I started picking up pace and started being more active in the conventions and things like that, and then just kind of exploded from there. And then you started this Fireside podcast, and then I found out about Impact, and then I got on. So it's all your fault that I'm all over the place now.
Sweet.
So
I'm glad. I'm happy that you are.
Yep, it's all your fault.
I
love it.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad we crossed paths. Talk a little bit. We were talking the other night about kind of your approach to drawing, and you were teaching me some Photoshop tricks. Are you drawing all digital?
No. For the most part, I have my little tiny 5x8 Cahier moleskin that I carry in my. I took it out of my pocket. Yeah. But I usually carry that in my pocket, and that is my junk drawer for the most part. Sketches, notes, schedules, calendar, everything goes in that thing. So a lot of stuff I'll do in ballpoint pen in that just for thumbnailing. And then from there, I'm, depending on the speed, really, is what I'm looking for. I can manipulate graphite and ink and marker far easier than I can digitally.
Okay.
For as far as the values, the core black and gray, So once I get that, I mean, if I have time to work on it, I'd prefer to do it that way.
Yeah.
And do all my black and gray traditional, and then I will either take a photo of that with my iPad or phone, and then put that digital in Procreate or Photoshop and then paint on top of that. However, in settings like this, if it's a decent sized piece, I will just take a picture of their body part. I will start drawing it right on there and do everything digitally.
Yeah.
And try to have a finished piece figured out before I even start the stencils.
So do you plan everything pretty thoroughly before I guess what
I thought I planned it thoroughly until this Evergreen Educational, and then I was like, I could be a lot more thorough in my planning.
Huh.
But yeah, no, I thought I did.
What did you learn? Who made you think that?
Ruben, I believe, was the one talking about really knowing like what you were going to do for this section. Like, how far are you going to do in this section? What are you going to make happen in that section? And before you get into the next session, he was either. I hope it was Ruben. Now, might have been Rember too. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was again when you got 2 days of nonstop education coming at you. It kind of gets jumbled. So I apologize if either one I.
So they are. So going back to planning. So they're talking about an execution. Like you want to know.
Like when they're getting into the actual tattoo. Like they are before they sit down to start the tattoo. They're planning out. I will be working on this section of the jaw until that is completed to this level. Then I'm going to move on to this section, and they actually are mentally mapping out that in their head before they even start committing to skin.
And it may not be a level of finish in the jaw. It's just I want to get to this level.
That level, at least a level of finish, but they specifically pick that out before they start doing it. And I was like, well, why would you do that? I mean, that just seems like, and it's mostly so they can focus on their technique as opposed to their process or to their aesthetics. They're not working on the design anymore. Now they're just working on their technique to make sure that is smooth. And of course, you look at their work, and it speaks for themselves.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'm pretty sure Ruben is the guy that won Tattoo of the Day yesterday, and I judged
Ruben's
that.
Got a couple
it
of trophies.
Freaking awesome
From yesterday.
It was so good.
No.
So those
two, Ruben, Mark, and Rember all said they're going to do critiques for me, so I got to get a hold of them.
Sweet. We've got Rember coming on the show tonight, tomorrow,
Awesome.
sometime this weekend. I'm excited about that. He's awesome.
He is awesome. Very cool.
See, I should have set in on some of that because I have a really hard time knowing what is a level of finish that I want to get to here if I haven't addressed this at all. And I watch a lot of these guys that work that way, Nico, Steve Butcher, a lot of people who do realism that work almost like a printer going at a level of finish. And honestly, I have no idea what the highlight on the chin looks like until I know where the eyes are, where the forehead is, where the highlight on the nose is. And everything that I learned in fine art told me to work the whole.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I'm starting to apply it more that I work in the whole through the development process to make a finished piece without the client. Once the client's skin is in my face, then I got to switch gears. And I think that it's something I'm going to implement here in the near future as soon as I get back home. Or maybe even this weekend if anybody wants that Freddy Krueger. But
I would love to help you promote it, but this won't come out until long after this convention.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But so once they get into the chair, just kind of switching the mindset and saying, okay, now it's just technique, I'd love to be able to just go willy-nilly with a tattoo machine and hit them like with a alla prima painting, but it's just it's not realistic for who I am or how I am. So I'm like I do a lot of freehand work with when it comes to cover-ups and add-on pieces, and even when it comes to that, I have a pretty polished Sharpie drawing before I get into the tattoo as well. I don't really leave a lot up to chance. Yeah. And now, after those seminars, I'm like, maybe I'll leave even less up to chance.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'd like to, and I guess I could just stick my head in and watch some of these guys do this stuff because they're just a few booths over.
Absolutely.
But it's not something that seems like it makes a whole lot of sense to the way that I work. But I would love to see what they're doing. You want to tackle a viewer question?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. Let's grab this one.
Oh, boy.
All right. All right, so this is a good convention question. It comes from JECC_L. Rolls right off the tongue.
Jekyll?
Jekyll. Oh, is it Jekyll?
Maybe.
Jekyll?
That's what I'd say.
How do you carry all your supplies and keep them clean and safe? You drove here for a long ways. We flew here for a long ways.
Flying is tough.
Yeah, because your inks blow up. Mine did.
Yes.
Yep.
There was a video I watched on YouTube about a cat who took his, I can't remember what his name was, but he took each individual bottle and he'd wrap that whole bottle in plastic wrap
Yep.
and then lay the next bottle next to it. And then, then he had basically this Gatling gun of tattoo ink. But I'm like, that's great, but how are you going to pack it now?
Yeah.
And this, and that's great for black and gray tattooers, but so, that's a tough one. I know Pelican cases make good ones for but I think, when you're flying, carry on for your inks. Just make sure you got 1 ounce bottles.
Yeah.
They don't hassle me when I'm flying through, and I put them in my backpack. My backpack has my machines, my inks, and my needles.
Yeah.
And
they don't hassle you with needles at all?
In fact, a lot of times they'll open it up. It's like, what is this ink? Or what is this for? Is this for painting? I'm like, well, tattooing. So, yeah, painting skin. Really? You're a tattooer?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
no, they're pretty good.
Yeah. What is your setup like? What are you bringing? Are you bringing arm props? Are you bringing tables? Are you bringing any of that kind of stuff?
I'll bring whatever I can if I'm driving.
Yeah.
And a lot of the conventions I've been to have been driving distance. But, like, this one, had I booked my plane ticket in time, I would have flown out here as well. But
yeah.
I've done guest spots, and with the guest spots, it's nice because you can bring limited amount of stuff and use whatever they have. That's helpful. But a convention, I mean, I wish promoters had more explanation of what they have here for you, what you have access to, how far away the Walgreens and the Costco are, So I wish they had a little bit more of that stuff so you knew what you could just grab when you get here. But, yeah, I mean, don't haul all the stuff that whatever town you're going to, you can just buy at the store.
Yeah.
Don't just buy the roll of plastic wrap and use it up, or you're not for your bandage, for your covering.
Oh, right.
But
yeah, I think that I think that's important to know on the front end. If you can think enough in advance to ask what they actually provide, because it's so sporadic from convention to convention. And we actually just talked about this with Tommy in the last episode. That question was kind of similar, wasn't it, to the last one? But sometimes they have made aside. Sometimes they have plastic wrap. Sometimes they have not. Like, did you have water? I didn't have any water when I got here.
No, they had it, but you had to go out and grab it if you needed it.
Oh, okay.
So they had jugs of water out there, but then I've been to shows where they'll have a stack of water and paper towels. Then I've been to shows where you have to bring everything and you have to take everything with you.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't leave your sharps container, you take your sharps container with you. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How much did I pay for this booth?
Right. Yeah, I guess when it comes to keeping things clean and safe, the most important, when you're thinking clean and traveling tattooer, you're thinking about inks more than anything, because they do
I think so.
tend to blow up in planes.
I guess I hope that's what we're talking about, is clean as in your stuff as opposed to being sanitary.
I think that's
sanitary, that's a whole different
that's completely different.
Wax,
I think the way I interpret it is like, how do you keep it clean and organized? And I know Matt Purdy, who we talked to in Space City just recently, he said that he made the mistake of just throwing all of his shit in bags and he knew he had everything, but he didn't organize it on the front end. So then he gets someplace where he's splitting a booth with someone else. He has half of the table, and he's trying to stroll everything out, stickers, T-shirts, inks, machines, everything, and organize it on the spot.
There is one little trick that I did. I'm kind of actually proud of. I'm not afraid to share. I always use the same number of machine bags. I always use the same number of bottle bags. I always use all the stuff that I use repeat. It's always the same number. I throw all that stuff, the tongue depressor, razor blade, into a bottle bag and then fold that up so that when I have a tattoo, I pull out that one bottle bag. It's got all the stuff in there, so I only have to pack 6 of them, 6 or 8 of them, and they're ready to go. I don't have a box of this and a box of this or a baggie of this and a baggie of this. All that stuff for one tattoo is in a bottle bag. Like my click cord sleeve, my tongue depressor. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
I was pretty proud of the thought of that one. In
it's
the
like a little
wee
party
hours
gift
of the morning.
when you're leaving the kids'
like
party.
My own little goodie bag for
it's a little goodie bag.
tattoos. So so
that's good. I like that.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
I do.
I had never thought of that. So yeah, we're learning all kinds of stuff. This has been a common question. It's got to be like the 3rd time we've gotten something kind of like that.
I would like to go to I've been to a seminar where they were billed as a traveling artist, but they really didn't give, here's how I pack and travel. In that seminar, so I would really like to go to a seminar where they're like, for the traveling artist, this is everything I do for packing my bags, and so.
I'm just going to do about 4 more shows where we ask that question, and then I'm going to design my own seminar based on everyone else's answers.
Rock and roll.
Take all the credit.
Rock and roll. Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's probably the smartest approach. That's it.
I will troll you with my
right. Like, that was my idea, Jake.
Yep.
You dick.
What a taker.
So what is your what's your travel schedule from here?
Next up, I got a guest spot in Moorhead, Minnesota, and then I am off. I'm coming back here in May, back to Springfield. I got a guest spot at Queen Bee, the whole shop here. So Riley's shop, and then after that, I'm off for a month. Gonna do the family thing and a little vacation with the family, out to Wisconsin. But now I just talked to somebody, and I might actually do a guest spot there. I don't know if the girlfriend's gonna love that one.
Do you get in trouble for that kind of stuff too? If it's work play trips like together?
Yeah, a little bit.
I take a lot of shit for that.
Yeah, I think she's at a point now. Hi, Dana. She watches these with me, so I think she's at.
Skip over this one. You could be like, you already know what I think. It's fine.
I think she's at a point now where she just realizes that my need to create isn't drive as much as addiction.
Yeah.
You know, and it really is like I have to draw when I get up. I have to draw all day long. I have to, so if I'm going to do it anyway, I might as well get paid to do it on somebody's skin. So there's definitely I'm really good about making sure I can make it to the kids' games and things like that, because of my childhood. I make sure that I'm attending try to attend as much stuff as I can, but
you guys have how many kids?
Well, we have the yours, mine, and ours. So my son from my first marriage, and then her daughter from her previous relationship, and then our youngest daughter together.
What are their ages?
23, 14, and 11.
Oh, okay.
So
you're a little bit on the downside.
Yeah. So now the 11 and 14-year-old are full-time school sports and stuff, and the 23-year-old is just borrowing money.
Right. Yeah. I deal with that a lot too. With wherever we go, I'm trying to either figure out if there's a podcast opportunity or a tattoo opportunity or a painting opportunity, or I'm already doing that for one of those reasons, and it's like, hey, you should come along and we'll hang out for 3 days afterwards. And I think of that as, I'm thinking of you, and we can do something afterwards. And she thinks of it as, you don't want to put the work into coming up with an actual family trip, so you try to drag us along on a work trip.
See, and I made the mistake and took her to Chicago for a worldwide tattoo conference in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize the schedule that they were going to have. So basically, she was hanging out in a hotel.
By herself.
Resort hotel.
Yeah.
That had a spa by herself for 2 days. And it was a quiet ride home because we drove that too. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
but I think that kind of burned her a little bit on that. So, and she's tried to come to conventions with me and such, but when, dogs got to be let out, and kids got to go here, and that's got to, so it because of that, it kind of adds up. But I think as time goes on and we have less moving the kids around, we're going to be able to do more stuff together maybe. But I just wish there was more conventions in the summertime, because then I just bring the kids with.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, there are conventions every weekend everywhere in the world.
Yeah, as soon as I get invited to them, and
Yeah.
maybe some discounts on some of these booth rentals. Then, yeah.
Right. Start a podcast, and
The
then
toughest
they
part
give
is
you the booth. That's
getting
the
the first round or first year. You know, I don't. It's not like I have a name necessarily. You know, so the first year into a convention, you're doing little banger tattoos, and you're probably going to eat quite a bit of time, you know, with hotel and travel and everything like that. But it's something you got to do. I mean, the connections I'm making alone, just going to these conventions, first time at different shows, is a boon for just going next year. I'm already almost locked in for more work.
Yeah.
You know,
and I know we talked a little bit about this a couple of days ago about how you ended up here at Evergreen by meeting Riley at Impact, and it's I think something that you can't overstate is the value in just putting yourself out there and meeting people, and and you don't even know often when you leave that convention, you don't even know what the reward was at that point. You have no idea like how the trickle down actually works, how the domino effect actually works.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's years later where you're like, you know, if I hadn't done that shitty ass thing in that year, I would have never met so-and-so who got me hooked up with that guy, who then got me doing. And then you realize, like, man, some of the biggest moments in my life came from the most insignificant little meetings.
That's why I was saying, you know, to get here, I had to meet Riley. I did that at Impact that I heard about on your show that you started however long ago. So, I mean, it really is. Yeah. I mean, I just was surfing through YouTube and come upon your show, and I'm like, what's this? Watched a few episodes and then found out about Impact, you know?
Yeah,
so,
crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but at the same time, if I didn't spend the money, put my neck out there to go do it, I would have, you know, never met half the people that I know now in the industry outside of my area. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's just it's so tough to put
community
put a value.
I've been trying to say community instead of industry.
I say industry all the
time.
time.
I do too, but it
is an industry. It's like a couple of $1 billion a year. It's got to be called an industry at that point, right?
But it's a lot of small businesses, so everybody wants to hold on to the community thing. So.
I think it's hard to put a dollar amount. It's real easy to go like, God, I spent $900 on that ticket for the weekend. I already knew half the stuff in the seminars. That was a bust. You can never look at it that way because you just never know what actually comes from any of it.
I can always find something. Mm-hmm. I've taken Nick Baxter's seminar, the holistic approach. I've taken that twice.
Yeah.
And
you have to listen to everything he says twice.
That I believe, but I had a whole new grasp of all that stuff, and then like webinars that I've watched, you know, and every time I watch them and go through them, I learn so much more every time. So it's you might hear the same stuff, but I've had people explain to me how a light works around a object multiple times. And it wasn't until the 10th time that I heard it a way that made sense to me in a light that became natural all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You know, now I don't have to think about the Terminator and the core shadow and all that stuff like that, you know, all the aspects of it, you know, because I've heard it in the right way finally.
Yeah.
Even though they said the same stuff they said before.
Yep.
So
that's how I just had almost that exact conversation with Ben from Off the Map Live, and we were talking about the kind of that there are a lot of tattoo podcasts that are popping up, and just our opinions on it, because we started within months of each other. We're both about 5 years in, and the way that I've always thought of it is, I might put something out there that completely speaks to you and says nothing at all to Sean. And then Ben might say something in a way that it makes perfect sense to him. And we're saying the exact same stuff. And it's just a matter of, like, hearing it in a way that it resonates with you.
Right.
And sometimes it does take hearing it a dozen times.
Yep. Semantics, terminology, so many different things.
Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily just the person saying it either. Just the way it's said.
Yeah. And I think that it's and that's why I think the more the merrier when it comes to online education and things like that, or just people getting together in front of a camera and talking about whatever it is they have to say, because there isn't a right or a wrong. It's hard to be competitive with it because look, the people who love what we do, we've got them. I mean, maybe they'll listen to some off the map, maybe they'll listen to whatever, but they like the way that we deliver it. They they understand what we're saying. And the people that don't, I hope there's a show out there that speaks to them.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's plenty of information. We don't have nobody has all the answers, and everybody doesn't have all the answers together. Collectively, we don't have the answers.
Yeah.
So yeah. The competition, I mean, I just wish Coke and Pepsi could exist in a restaurant together.
Oh, man. Sounds beautiful. Beautiful.
There's world peace.
Yep. All right, if people want to find you, where do they find you?
Social media, it's @millionpm. Otherwise, my website is tattoond.com, as in North Dakota.
All right.
So pretty easy to find stuff. So.
And I'm assuming you guys probably aren't passing through small towns in North Dakota, but
no.
if you are...
yeah,
hit him up.
Look me up for sure. Otherwise,
guest spots and conventions.
Go ahead and check it out because I plan on doing more traveling and getting around and stuff like that. So if you're interested, please get a hold of me, and it's easiest through messaging. So
Instagram messaging usually is best.
Yeah, direct messages, email.
Yeah,
either of those work the best.
We'll drop all that stuff in these show notes down here, and that's it, man. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure. Thank you guys, as always, for supporting what we do. We'll see you next time. That little camera is awesome. It's got a wide lens.
Yeah.
So if you get real close to it, it makes your face look crazy. All right, take it easy. Thanks.
Now's when you got to talk after the headphones are off.
All right. Yeah, that's all.